We begin with Prime Minister Mark Carney's European tour. He's in Latvia today after stops in Poland and Germany. It's part of Canada's push to diversify trade and economic partnerships amid a trade war with the U.S. For more on this, Matthias Lüttenberg is Germany's ambassador to Canada, and he joins me now live in studio. Nice to see you, Ambassador. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So Canada needs some allies right now as we're grappling with this situation with the United States and the trade war. It seems like things are pretty positive between Canada and Germany right now. How would you describe our relations after the two leaders met today?
Well, I couldn't agree more. I think things are indeed very positive. It was a fabulous visit from my point of view. First of all, it's great to see the Prime Minister in Europe, but also in Germany in particular. I think Germany is the biggest economy in Europe. It's certainly a very good partner to Canada and vice versa. And we have so much in common. We share so many values, but we also have a joint interest in the diversification of our trade routes, for example. And so the focus was very much on these issues today.
Right. As you know, former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said there was no business case to sell liquefied natural gas to Europe. We are hearing a very different message from Prime Minister Carney today. He said there's amazing potential opportunities if we open a new port in Churchill, Manitoba. We know that Germany is buying millions of tons of LNG from the United States and Qatar, not Canada, as a result of really inaction by past governments on developing LNG. Would Germany be a customer for our liquefied natural gas if we did get our act together, if you will, and start producing some of this and sending it over to Europe?
Well, ultimately, that's certainly up to the companies in Germany, the buyers, to decide if they want to purchase LNG from Canada. But I would see a huge potential for a business case, at least. And I see and I hear from the conversation that we are having with German companies that they do care about LNG. And we, as the government, certainly want to pave the way for any sort of imports, because, as we said in the beginning, the diversification, especially in LNG imports, is of relevance to us as well. We have done our homework. We're working on the relevant import infrastructure and our ports. So we're getting ready for everything, especially also with a view to hydrogen on the longer run. But LNG imports we are doing already, so we are there. And I hope that Canada would also fulfill this step. And what I heard today in the press conference of the Prime Minister with the Chancellor in Berlin was very encouraging in this regard.
Yeah, they also talked about critical minerals. There seems to be some sort of deal struck today. We don't really have a lot of details as to what exactly the two countries have agreed to do. Can you kind of shed some light on that for me, for our audience? What have they agreed to do on critical minerals? Is there some sort of timelines for the projects that are under discussion?
Well, I would describe the document which was signed today by Ministers Hodgson and Reiche, the German Minister of Economy, as a framework document which would help us as a joint declaration of intent, help us to promote the exports of critical minerals and to jointly seek for diversification of our routes, but also to work jointly on research, for example, to work jointly on all sorts of critical minerals related activities. And it's not yet with a timeline, and it's still not very concrete in terms of single projects which we wanted to undertake, but it opens the door, and we do have some support schemes both in Germany and in Canada, like a raw materials fund in Germany, which we will use for the benefit of our cooperation in critical minerals.
Canada and Germany did about $30 billion in two-way trade last year, so a sizable amount, as you say. We are large trading partners. I think you're our sixth largest, so certainly very consequential. How much higher can we go from $30 billion? What's a reasonable expectation in terms of trade between our two countries as we move forward?
Well, actually, I think there's still room for improvement, certainly so, and critical minerals could be a cornerstone in this improvement, but also our cooperation in other areas. We have a lot of investments already. We have around 500 German companies which are present here in Canada, and I think that with the development south of our border to the United States, that certainly other countries, other businesses are also looking at Canada more favorably than ever before. So I see it's well possible that we are seeing another increase in this trade volume. Yeah.
Is Canada looking better now, given what's happening in the United States?
Well, you never looked bad, so therefore I think, yeah, at least it's becoming more and more visible for Germans, for European companies, because of what happened in terms of tariffs. But we always looked at Canada very favorably because they are a close ally at the G7, NATO ally, and therefore we always had an open eye on Canada for sure.
Let's talk about Ukraine. How does Germany feel about the prospect of a peace deal? It seemed like things were moving in the right direction last week after that summit at the White House. But now things seem to have stalled a little bit, and negotiations have hit a wall, at least between Vladimir Zelensky and Vladimir Putin. How do you see things? What's the current state of affairs in your eyes?
Well, I think, first of all, it's very important that the meeting in Alaska took place between the presidents, and it's, of course, very important that we also had the meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky in Washington, and that we are at least approaching some sort of peace process. But we also say it's very clear that we have to find a way to stop the killing and to arrange for a ceasefire arrangement. Ukraine has to be on the table. They have to be with talking to Vladimir Putin directly, and if President Zelensky is ready to do that, I hope that also the Russian side would agree, and therefore we're very grateful for the efforts of the US president to try to bring everybody together to that table. The chances were probably never better in the last 3.5 years, but we're certainly not there yet. It takes a lot of effort on the diplomatic front. We're happy to be part of it, but jointly with Canada, for example, in the coalition of the willing, we're also doing a lot jointly there.
On the security guarantees for Ukraine, Prime Minister Mark Carney has floated the possibility of Canadian troops being on the ground in Ukraine in a post-war situation if we do come to that peace deal that you're talking about. What is Germany willing to offer for its part of keeping the peace in Ukraine?
Well, we are having this discussion as we speak in Germany, but also among partners in the coalition of the willing, as we call it. In this coalition, we are discussing several options. One, of course, would be to send boots on the ground, so our own soldiers to Ukraine, but there's many other ways also to guarantee that Ukraine can defend itself, that they will not be attacked again after a possible peace deal. And this is what we are currently deliberating with our partners, and certainly Germany will play its part in it, not only continuing what we are doing in terms of delivery of arms and other aid, but certainly also more than that. But the decision if to send troops or not is not being taken in Germany yet.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. Matthias Lüttenberg, Germany's ambassador to Canada. Thank you for coming in, sir. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. It's nice to see you.
Thank you very much.